So practicing like this is exactly how I shoot in the 60s whilst hitting less than 50 balls each week. Now, me being a busy golf coach and of course making videos here on YouTube, I do not have much time to practice. Quite like a lot of you guys out there, after you're done with your day of work, you don't necessarily want to go and do a lot of practice or even have the time to fit in that alongside with a round of golf. So I do this style of practice for really 3 to 5 minutes every single day after my lessons, just squeezing a little bit in there. And this has considerably improved my scoring, because compared to back in my playing career, where this was my swing back in the day, where it's scary for me to look at that I used to play professional golf with that swing, my scoring now is far more consistent and I can go lower than I used to. So even though back in the day I could shoot a good score, but again, I was absolutely very versed in my tournaments I used to play of shooting a real high one every now and again for a professional golfer. So much more consistent now, but with less practice. I used to practice, 6 days a week, and now I practice maybe, 3 to 5 minutes, every day. If that, sometimes it might be every other day. Depends on what the glorious Scottish weather will allow. So here we go, just like we saw at the beginning there, that little clip, this is kind of like the drill combination. So ultimately, this is actually 2 drills I'm doing here, but this massively improves my swing and keeps my swing in a nice area by just doing these 2. So what doing this kind of like little drill station kind of influences in my golf swing is, for one, to control good club path. So for us to play really good golf, so whether it's trying to shoot in the 60s, the 70s, or even getting yourself to finally shooting in the 80s, you want to have your curvature be brought in. If you have a club path that is way too much on the outside over the top, you're going to of course be having a big left to right curvature, maybe the occasional pull or pull hook in there. But again, if you're a golfer who's way on the inside, you're going to have a big left curvature or even a big push out there as well. So this big stick here really helps me for the club path, and this ball helps me for the club face. So we need the club face and club path to be solid to have good controllable curvature. We don't want big curves one way or the other. So let's talk about this stick here first. So this is called the swing plate, and ultimately how I have this rigged up is this, for me, helps me prevent the club path from getting a little bit out to win. Sometimes if I'm swinging poorly, I'll hit it a little bit out to win, especially with my driver, to where I like to see more of a neutral flight with it. Tiny little fade is ideal, but if I can, let's say, be playing bad, I'll pull hook them. So that's where my club face will be closed, but also my path will be on out to in. So how I get there in my golf swing and hit those bad shots is I will have my arms pick up too much. I won't get my arms around me enough because I won't be turning full. So that will then influence club to get out in front and then hit a little bit too out to win. So having this stick here really helps me get my arms more around my body. So I want to turn and get a good full turn, and this helps me. You can see how my left arm is covering my shoulder plane there. That's what I want to see. Hands around kind of like on top of my ankles or heels. That will then influence me to be a little bit more neutral. Whilst I'm doing the drill, it actually gives me a little bit of a draw. But then when I take this away and play on the golf course, it goes a little bit in between. It goes to just about a degree or so on the outside, which is ideal. Again, because I'm only doing this for a few, handful of balls at the end of every day. I'm not ultimately doing enough to make a real big change with it. But for me, it keeps me on path really nicely every single swing. I want that variable to always be locked down when I'm practicing. I don't want to have one where I swing a little bit more out, one where it's a little bit more in. I want it to be the same every time. So I know what the feel is, I know how to get there. And if you do want one of these, for example, that's swingplate.com, lowercase JChownGolf at checkout. We'll get you 15% off. There is a link in the description, but absolutely, I just have this set up so it's just over my right shoulder. I can have it a little bit above if I'm feeling comfortable. If I'm not feeling good with my swing, I'll have it a little bit lower to exaggerate it. So that controls my club path, keeps me there so I'm nice then and neutral. But club path is not the only thing to be able to keep the ball solid and straighter. Club face as well. Because for example, if I didn't have this moving on to the ball training aid in between my arms, I could have some swings where I could be better on path. I'm still swinging underneath this, but then I could stall out my body rotation, have a little bit of a flip, a little bit of a breakdown arm structure, and I'll pull hook it again, just from a neutral path. I'll actually go further left. So that is where this with me is game changer. I love these training aids. So Tour Striker Smart Ball is a brilliant training aid to get. Unfortunately, I don't have a code to get a discount on this. I just absolutely love these. I've been using these forever. You'll find other videos on my channel. One earlier on this week, talking about it in relationship to Bryson DeChambeau. So having this keeps me nice and stable with my club face. Because one, for me personally, this keeps me turning through the golf ball. Keeps my rotation solid. Whenever I have this there, I follow my rotation nicely, because I can absolutely get a little bit behind and then a little bit flippy. As we said, that's what caused me to stall out. That's what this really helps with. This makes me feel like everything's staying on top and turning through. The rotation feels constant. And when the rotation is constant going through the golf ball, this club face stays lovely and stable going through the shot. It has very minimal rotation of the club face. And if I stall out, I'll flip and it'll be awful. So it really helps on that front. Another thing it massively helps with as well, it helps with keeping the swing arc length nice and long going through the golf ball. Again, a lot of us can be guilty of, as we're coming through the golf ball, to be narrow and pulley. Good old chicken wing there. As you see sometimes from my slow-mos, you'll see a little bit of a left arm breakdown. Happens a little bit because of my weaker grip I have. That's normal. That's what we would see. But absolutely, I could do it too much. And this again helps that extension of the arms post-impact. And what does that help with? Again, club face control. If I get narrow, club face is going to turn over. If I'm wide, club face is going to be more stable. So it's ultimately, this is an awesome station for myself and so many golfers out there, especially if you're a golfer trying to get rid of your slice and trying to get better at your rotation at the same time. I couldn't recommend it enough. And again, that is literally what I've hit in this video is about what I would hit at the end of my lessons. Literally a handful. I think I've only hit about 10 balls at that. So that's where I know if I do that, I'm one, for right now where my swing is, I'm maintaining it where I want to be. If I wanted to improve it more, I would certainly spend more time practicing. But what can you see that I'm doing here that is so beneficial whilst not spending much time? I'm only working on what I need to work on. So that's where, if I had more time to practice, I'd work on maybe one more thing. For me, being a golfer that has cerebral palsy, I'm a disabled golfer, I would work a little bit on getting onto my left side a bit more aggressively as well. But with minimal practice time, I want to practice on what's going to have the biggest influence to calming down my shot curvature, which is going to give me more consistent rounds. You know, everyone hates it when you step onto a tee and you have no idea how far your ball's going to curve offline. Horrible, you don't want that. That's where this gets rid of that, so I can just go to play around the golf if I want to. I know exactly where my path's going to be. I know exactly how my club face control is going to be within reason, and that's the key to shooting better golf. Now, again, I'm not saying I shoot in the 60s on good, proper good golf courses like they play on tour. Absolutely not. This is on normal public golf courses. On those type of golf courses that the top pros play, I probably wouldn't be as good. I'm not long enough to go on there because I'm a disabled golfer. You know, I can't generate that 120-mile-an-hour club head speed to play on those real long courses. But again, what are most of you guys playing on there? You're playing on the same golf course as I am. So you might not be able to shoot in the 60s afterwards. After that, again, I'm a professional golfer. High 60s, again, I'm not shooting mid 60s. High 60s is normally where I'm at. Low 70s as well. But again, practicing in this way, whether it's exactly like I'm talking about, or a tailored version to yourself, working on what you need to work on. If you want to know exactly what to work on, absolutely there's a link for online lessons in the description. I'll absolutely help you out with your game so we know exactly what we need to work on. But that's all you need to practice in your short amount of time you've got. You can still improve with a very little amount of time if you're working on the right things. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.